But if we go and just make another scene, and we'll make this look different. Right, so now if we go into the dream and edit it, and we bring in that scene there, each scene automatically has its own entrance. So you can like remove that wire by pressing triangle on it, and grab a new wire with X and plug it in there. And now, when we start that dream again, then we start in that green scene. So these wires just tell it where to send the player when they come through one of these doors, and what door to enter into in a scene. So what we could do is add a doorway into this scene. So if we go out and we edit this, we can actually make doorways with a gadget called, in the if you go to gadgets up here and then gameplay gear, then grab a doorway gadget, and you can tweak it with L1 and square, and by default it comes in as an exit, so that when you power it, it'll send the player out of this scene into a different one, or out of the dream. So we've got an exit, and we can make this one into an entrance like that. And there's also two-way, which means you can come in through that, but when you power it, it'll send the player out. Cool, so we can even name these, so we can call this one in, call this one out. And now if we exit that, then we can edit the dream and update the scenes. So this will still be the old version of the scene, because it refers to the specific version of the scene that we added before. But now we've updated this, so we can go to update, and we can click on update now, and now that's the latest version. So now we have actual doorways. It's kind of disconnected that old one, but we can add the wire going in, and then we can wire that one going into the next scene. So now we actually have to trigger that exit doorway to get to this other scene. So let's just do that. For that, I'm just going to bring in a puppet and make a trigger zone, which just detects if the puppet is inside the trigger zone. So now this trigger zone, when the puppet is inside there, this little output here will send a signal. So we can send this signal into the doorway to turn it on, which will send us out of the scene. So now I'll just put them back there, and we save that, and then we go in here and update it again. And we can use L1 and circle to cancel out of the edit mode of that dream. And then we can go reset the progress again. Resetting progress is, it saves things like what scene you were playing last, and variables and things like that, which we'll come onto later. So then sometimes you have to reset the scene because that scene doesn't exist anymore. So let's go and play. So now we've got the puppet, and we can run around, and then when we go into that zone, it's kicked us out into the next scene. So I've got a trigger zone here that will activate a doorway, and then we'll pop out in a different scene. Yeah, so let's just quickly make that other scene as well. But in here we want to appear in a different place. I want to appear over here. Let's do that. So we're meant to appear here, pointing that way. So now let's just put it into a dream and see where we actually end up. Cool, so nothing's around, and we can go in here, and we'll end up in the place that we started in this scene. So like if I put it over here, like facing a funny direction, so we should see that kind of view. Okay, so we go to the doorway, and now we end up with that view that we put ourselves in. But we kind of want it to appear here. So like you could imagine this is coming out of the house or something, and you want to end up in the right place. And you have another one of these where we want to stand here facing that way, depending on like which circle we go in through in the other scene, something like that. So we want to be able to differentiate these and have this move to the right position, otherwise it will look pretty weird to the player. So we'll actually have another doorway. So we don't need this because we're not actually going to exit at all. So we'll have a doorway over here, and this will be an entrance. And you see it's actually got a dot, a gizmo, which you can move around, and an arrow. Oh, and an arrow we can point around the place. So this is where it's going to spawn. So I'll just put it over there. It's going to spawn there and be facing that direction. That's where we want that one to go. So that is going to be like a square looking one. This will be the arrow looking one. So we give them these names so we can remember which is which in the dream. But note we haven't moved the character at all, and we haven't done any logic to it yet. And in here we want to have two different exits. So we'll use this as the arrow one, and this is the square one. And this will be two different exits. So this will be to the arrow, like that. And this will be to the square. Okay, and because these are exits, it doesn't matter where this is, because it won't be used. Two-way would use it if you come in through this doorway, but this will just be an exit. So we want to arrow to go to the arrow, and to square to go to the square, like that. Cool. And reset again, and play. Cool, so if we step on this circle, we should go to the arrow. And we haven't. We've still gone to the position we started the character in. You could see we had the imp, which meant we weren't actually possessing this character. This is because it doesn't really know, it doesn't know that this looks like the other character or anything, so we have to indicate to dreams that it is the same character and should be treated like that. So if we tweak the controller sensor, we can give it a name. So this is Bob, and this is just naming that controller sensor gadget. And now we'll edit the other character to say it's also Bob. And then play. And now we go into the arrow. And we spawn at the arrow. This is because we are actually already possessing the character too. Because it knows that it's meant to be the same character. So now if we exit and go through the square instead, we should end up at the square and possess the character, and we are. So that's how to indicate to dreams it should do that stuff. I'd like to thank Mobius DT, X-Cantaloupe, Martinity DK, and all of my other supporters for making this tutorial possible. Check out TAPgiles.com to find out how you can support me in helping Dreams creators. Thanks for your consideration, and I'll see you in the next one.